Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Hair Talks. I am going to be your host tonight. Yes, your very own Carla Beckers. So I'm just waiting for a few people to come into the room, and we are going to get started. We have a a little controversial topic tonight. Are we doing too much in the dating process, or are we expecting too much? So, for my female friends, they sometimes complain about that. They felt that they did so much in the dating process, and then sometimes, the men tend to say that they find females expect too much in the dating process. So we are going to debunk some of that tonight. Yeah. So before we get into it, I'm not going to be doing a hairstyle tonight. So what I did, I used the Just Curls moisturizer and my strengthening hair oil. I had in some braids and I took it out, and after I washed my hair, I felt like having some curls. Normally you always see me with my big afro, so I felt like having some curls. So what I did was section off my hair. It was dry, so I didn't want it wet because I think I would have gotten too much shrinkage. So I sectioned off my hair and I applied some of the moisturizer, some of the hair oil, along with the Just Curls gel to get these curls. I didn't necessarily have to go in with a finger coil. So I was able to get these curls. I've had this in, I think, since Sunday. Yeah, since Sunday I've had this in. As you can see, my hair isn't as thick as you all think it is. It's just it's very light. Hi Shanique, hi Frank, welcome in the room. So that's what I did for this hairstyle, and I just decided to keep it for the week, so I could go up or down, and you can see there's a lot of curl definition. So it's not my usual puff that I would normally have. So these are the products that I use to get this desired effect. Right, and just a quick tidbit concerning Just Curls. We are in the process of doing a bit of rebranding. For those who know me, I'm a perfectionist, so we are doing a bit of rebranding. We are also going to get into a partnership pretty soon. So I believe by the end of March, we are going to be launching out in a really big way. So I look forward to that. Hi, good night, Frank. Right, so we are going to get into our topic tonight. So, are we doing too much in the dating process, or are we expecting too much? That is the big question tonight. Are we doing too much, or are we expecting too much? And the reason I'm asking this question is, so I have a lot of girlfriends, and normally when you talk to them, like especially like after a breakup, you would hear a lot about what they did in the relationship while they were dating. So they would have been cooking, cleaning, washing. If the guy had kids, helping out with the kids, that kind of thing. And then from the male perspective, you will hear guys saying in the dating process that females had this great expectation in terms of what they should be doing. So they would have been required to help with bills. If the woman had kids, they were expected to financially support her and her kids, even in the dating process. And then when these relationships break up, people really leave disgruntled, feeling like they were used. Hi Leslie, good night, Leslie Ann. And people end up leaving the relationship feeling like they were used. So my question to those who on the live is, like, what do you think is the timeline? Like, what do you think is the timeline in the dating process, if you should at all put out what I would call wifely duties or even husband duties? What you think is the timeline? Or frankly, it said the life keeps sticking. I don't know if it is my internet. Digital has been given some problems. Let me put on my home Wi-Fi and see if that helps. If it helps. I just switched. So if you could say what you think is the acceptable timeline when you're dating for these attributes, these wifely attributes, or in a man's sense, the husband attributes, to come to the forefront. Like, do we have a timeline for that? 2, is it necessary to portray those attributes in the dating process? And if so, why do we feel it's necessary? Is it that we feel in doing that it would, 1, get us to the altar quicker, 2, make the person fall in love with us faster and want to keep us around? What is the mindset behind it? And you know me, I always use myself as an example. So, okay, in the past I would have dated, and I think for me, I'm an empath, so I'm very giving. Even with friendships, and most of my friends will tell you that I'm very giving, I'm very selfless. So in the past, in the dating process, if the person I'm dating said they had a financial need, they just had to mention it, and once I had it, they would have it. Even if the person had kids, I was quick and ready to integrate them into my household and take up duties as if I was the maternal mom. That sort of thing. And when a breakup came, I remember in one instance, the person said to me, but I never asked you to do those things. I never asked you to support me financially. I never asked you to do test stuff for my kids. I never asked. But the thing is, I'm in a relationship and I'm hearing you expressing all these needs. And in my mind, if I'm in a position to help, I would help. But then it left me feeling broken, in the sense that I was feeling like I was taken advantage of. So I want to know if it is the same for both men and women in that regard, because I hear men complain a lot too. They were in a relationship, and from the onset, the woman wanted them to pay bills, to take care of the kids, to do this, to do that, to do the most. And after the breakup, they usually tend to say they feel like they were used, for their resources and stuff like that. Let me know in the comments if the live is still sticking. Right? So I am just thinking, and just for myself as well, why do we give out so much in the dating process in terms of duties that I think should only be kept for your spouse in marriage? Why do we feel the need? Thanks, Shanique. Why do we feel the need to put out so much upfront? Like, do we feel like that is a selling point, so to say, to get us to the altar? And I'm asking the altar part so much more so for my female friends, because too often I hear my females saying that they were used and they did so much, and they were cooking and they were cleaning and they were ironing and they were actually being a wife. You understand? And in their minds, because they were doing these things, it should have translated into a proposal, into marriage, and it didn't happen. And then here's the guy saying, I didn't ask you to do these things. So I'm just trying to help us to really think about what we do in the dating process. And should it be a conversation with you and your partner when you begin to date, in terms of boundaries and what is acceptable and what isn't, so that nobody feels taken advantage of. And I don't know if anybody could just drop it in the comment, like, do you think that your partner would value you more because of the extra mile that you may go to? Do you think it would add more value to you, or does it come off as maybe desperate, or does it come off as you're just doing the most so that you could win, quote unquote, if there might be anybody else looming in the background, that you're extending yourself out there so much so that you could, quote unquote, win. So that's just my mindset in terms of that. What is too much in the dating process? And do we as Caribbean people really understand what it means to date? Because normally when you're dating, people automatically think marriage. You're dating somebody, it's going to lead to marriage. But is dating really the process where you're just hanging out, you're getting to know somebody, you're going on these casual dates and that kind of thing? You understand what your dating process should really look like, and how far in are you going to deliver these goods in terms of you presenting yourself as a wife or as a husband to the person you're dating, and doing these things that only a wife should do or only a husband should do. For those who will be watching the live after, I would love to get your feedback on it as well, your comments and your thoughts, because I think it's so important that we just have these conversations, because I realize that we don't even talk about it. We automatically go into relationships. Okay, we see somebody, we are physically attracted to them, and most time, especially for people our ages, so I'm not afraid, I'm 45, and especially for people our ages, we tend to bypass a lot of this stuff because of our age and our experience, and sometimes we just dive headfirst into the whole relationship and start to act like we are completely married. We start to call each other husband, you're calling this person your wife, we claiming ownership, we playing titles, and you just proceed to be doing the most in a process that's supposed to be dating. And then when it doesn't work out, you feel slighted, you feel taken advantage of. The man is saying, well, I was paying bills for her, I was buying groceries, I was seeing about children that wasn't mine. The woman is saying, but I was cooking, I was cleaning. You understand? I was helping financially as well. And because we had the status attached, or the names attached as, there's my husband, there's my wife, we felt automatically like, yes, we were inside and we were heading down the aisles, and it doesn't happen, and then we are left feeling broken. You understand? So what are the boundaries for dating, especially dating at our age? What should that look like? You understand? How should we proceed with that? Is it that we have a conversation? Is it that we sit down and we have a conversation once we decide that, okay, we are going to date, and these are the parameters? If we're going on a date, this is what we require. We're going to be splitting the bill half, or this is the ceiling, this is the cap, in terms of I'm only going to spend a certain amount, because I realize women to have these unrealistic approaches when it comes to dating, that they feel that men automatically from the jump supposed to just jump in and spend and carry them on expensive dates, wine them and dine them, without any sort of real commitment or substance in the relationship. And I really trying to understand like where that came from. Like, because I mean, there was this big thing on social media not too long ago where a woman was complaining about a guy took her on this date and it wasn't enough, and she being this high value woman and she expected the 5-star restaurant and she expected this and she expected that. Like, are our expectations in the dating process really, really realistic? And are we doing things that we end up hurting ourselves and also the person that we are dating, because we start to behave as though we are in a marriage, doing things like we are in a marriage, and then when it doesn't work out, it is almost the same heartache as a marriage and going through a divorce, you know. So what are we doing? And this goes across the board for men and women, because I just think that we have these unrealistic expectations, and sometimes we could be very manipulative in doing so, because we are quick to label, this is my husband, you know, and then it puts a pressure on the man. Well, she already saying he's a husband, so I need to act as such. And then the guy is saying, well, this is he introducing me as his wife. He carried to meet all his family members. Yeah, there's wifey. You know, and you know, women, you know, we love that title. When you see that wifey go on that phone number and he introducing it to everybody, yeah, there's wifey, and you there smiling. But you don't have a ring, not even a pop ring to show for it. And you're just doing the most. And when it comes to an end, you are left heartbroken because you're putting so much work and effort into something that should have been a getting to know you period, to decide if we are going to move forward in terms of even an engagement or marriage. So I am just saying all of this to say that we need to set healthy boundaries. We need to be realistic when we are dating. I mean, it's even something I have had to sit down and really look at myself and look at my patterns of dating come right up to even my divorce last year. I really had to sit down and look at it, because I was like, Carla, you started off doing the most. You took up responsibility like you were a wife from the beginning, helping when you're short on rent, helping with a child, buying school books, helping with groceries, cooking, cleaning, washing clothes. I was doing the most, as though I was a wife. And then sometimes what that could do is it could also put pressure on the person, because you might be saying like, I am doing all these things, I'm acting as your wife, and I'm doing this and that, and you know, I deserve to be a wife. Or you set your boundaries, like, you know, for those of us who in Christ, it's like, we're not giving up the goods until we're married. And you wouldn't believe that people go so far. They would even go into engagement, go into a marriage, just for the fact that you're not giving up the goods, and they feel that they are entitled to the goods. Believe it or not, you have people who crazy like that. They will go as far as they could go to get it. You understand? And they might look at, well, okay, this person already doing the most. They acting like my wife, or they acting like my husband. I will go along with it. Bam, you end up getting married. And then you realize, wait, I don't have nothing in common with this person. This person is not it. You're seeing all the dirty ways coming out. Because in the dating, people could real camouflage themselves. I always say they're like chameleons, but it's only so long somebody could act for. So, you know, very soon the mask comes off. So I just want to know, what is the acceptable timeline when dating, in terms of when peaks or glimmers of the wife material, husband material should come out? Are we having discussions in 2024 in terms of what our dating process is going to look like? So if you decide to date, as grown as we are, we don't take it for granted that he's a big man, he should know what my needs are. Or he is saying she's a big woman, she should know what my needs are. Are we actually sitting down and having conversations with each other and saying, okay, this is what I would like my dating process or our dating process to look like. This is what I would require if we go out on a date. that we share the bill, or if I exclusively ask you out on a date, I am going to foot the bill. And that goes for both men and women. I don't know why women feel in 2024 that a man have to take them out on a date every time and spend his money alone. Men need pampering too. And as a woman, it's okay to take your guy out on a date and pay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know? So it goes both ways. So I am just hoping that in 2024 we do better. We do better in terms of our dating. For those of us who are still single, who might desire to be in a relationship, ultimately to get married, we can't say that we old and we just fixed in our ways and we just accustomed seeing somebody and we fall helplessly in love because of how they look, and we just dive in head first without even asking questions or even sitting down and having a conversation as to what this process is going to look like, how we are going to deal with finances in terms of dating and going out together, what the expectations are, before we just assume and we pour our all, we pour our whole heart into it. Because as much as women do it, men do it too. They pour their all into the relationship. You understand? Because, I want to show this person that I have the qualities. I have the qualities of a husband. I have the qualities of a wife. So you pour it all out on the line. And then it doesn't work out. And then you are left feeling dejected. You are left feeling abused and used. And it may not always be the intention of the person to do that. You understand? It really may not be that. Even though I know, yes, people are manipulative and there's some people who set out to really use and abuse people, but I don't think in the vast majority that people actually just set out to be that wicked and malicious. And I think the onus is on you, the individual. If the person you're going to date isn't aware that you bring up the conversation, what is this dating process going to look like? What are the expectations? Are you going to pay when we go out on all dates? Are we going to share the bills? What is it going to be? What are the boundaries? State up front. Let the person know. I am not going to be doing wifely duties. I'm not going to be washing, cooking, cleaning, taking care if you have kids. As a woman, the man could lay it all on the line as well. This is what I'm prepared to do. These are the boundaries. These are the parameters. And you move forward respectfully. Because, I recently joined TikTok and my mind is blown with a lot of craziness going on in terms of this whole dating process. And sometimes I wouldn't like to say, as a female, I feel highly embarrassed at times when I hear women talk about the expectations they have of men and the things that they require. And sometimes it's really unrealistic. Leslie Ann is saying, I believe we know in dating whether that person wants just to date or marriage. Yes, it's true to an extent, but in this time we have so many chameleons. We have people who pretend. We have some really good actors, and the thing is, sometimes we pour our hearts out so much in the dating that we tell this man or this woman everything that our hearts desire. We basically tell them how we want to be treated. We tell them about our past experiences. We tell them what our exes did in the past, so they know what not to do. They know what not to do, so they come in with a pretense and they put on a show to get what they ultimately want to get. So we still have to be very careful and very mindful and take our time and vet these persons. And I think it would prevent a lot of heartache that we sometimes put upon ourselves, And for me, what I would say again is, just always watch for the red flags. The red flags are very, very clear. They are very, very evident. We try to ignore it. We try to push it to the background because most times we get into the relationships and we start to have sex immediately. And when that comes into the forefront, we tend to get blind to everything else because we so in love, And for me, dating is supposed to be, what is it supposed to be? Dating and really getting to know somebody. Yes, I know that process and the time spans look differently for different age groups. You understand? Because for me, in my thinking, somebody in my age bracket who might be in their 40s should come with a little more maturity, a little more openness, being truthful, having experienced life. To me, that is an age where, you know, people would be wanting to settle down and to do the right thing, but it doesn't always happen that way. You still find the scammers in between. You still find the people who just woefully wicked and out to use and abuse. So you really need to vet and to date and set boundaries. And for me, boundaries are important because you see, the thing is, when you have boundaries and a person, you sit down and you discuss boundaries, and a person blatantly disregards your boundaries or breaks the promise to respect your boundaries, you understand? To me, that says it all. But you see, when we don't have boundaries in a relationship, we don't set it. Most of the times when things happen, the person will be like, you never said that. But you never said that. You never tell me that. You never tell me that was a deal breaker. You understand? They act all surprised. Even though we are thinking that, okay, something as an adult you're supposed to know. Because sometimes we tend to judge people from our own moral compass. So you came from a household where just being ethical was the right thing to do. Treating people right was the right thing to do. Being honorable was the right thing to do. And because you feel you are this good person, you are this genuine person, you expect that everybody will come to you with that same genuine heart. Everybody is not you. We need to get that out of our system. Everybody is not you. Everybody does not have your mindset. Everybody does not have your upbringing. So therefore, you need to speak. You need to voice. You need to say, these are the boundaries. These are the things that I am not going to accept. Don't wait for it to happen. And then the other individual is saying, but you never said. You never said that. You never said this. In the dating process, this is where this is supposed to start from. When you set boundaries and people respect your boundaries. And to me, if somebody is breaking that trust and that respect in the dating process, I would suggest to you don't even think about going into marriage. Because what starts is what always continues. We tend to believe that it's going to change, but it only gets worse. It is not going to change. Because they're clearly showing you who they are. You understand? So boundaries need to be set in the dating process. And stick to it. Let's say, according to my girlfriend, let's say yea be yea and then nay be nay. Because what I've learned also is that when sometimes we want to be soft and we want to show that we have compassion and we know how to forgive, but when you're doing that with somebody who does not have good intention, they're only going to use and abuse those chances, because they're going to keep doing it over and over and over again. And because we are in love, we tend to turn a blind eye. And let me say it emphatically, we cannot change anybody. And there's some ladies, we cannot change. I know we are nurturers and we want to love on everybody and feel we can help them to grow and make the world a better place. You cannot change anybody. I cannot change anybody. Yes, we could talk, we could ask, we could plead, but you cannot ultimately change anybody or force anybody to change. And for my Christian sisters, you can't pray them to change if they don't want to change. So I know we are taught here, we go by the altar and we cry, Lord, save him, Lord, change him, Lord, do this, do that. He's not going to change if he don't want to change. The only person that could cause change is the Holy Spirit working on his heart. You can't do anything else. So my advice, if you're dating and you see signs, you see the red flags, and you talk once, you bring it to the forefront, and you talk once, and there's no change at all, just rest it at the feet of Jesus, because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So I just want us to think about it. What does dating look like? What are your boundaries? What are your requirements? Check yourself, really understand if the requirements you have for a partner is something that is realistic. Put yourself in people's shoes. It's something I like to do, and it's something I always say at the beginning of even any relationship, be it friendship, like girlfriend or just a friend. Put yourself in the person's shoes. Think about if somebody did a particular thing to you, how would you feel? And to me, that's always a good gauge of knowing if you're really doing something wrong and off. Because most times what people dishing out, they can't take. So if you know you're going to do something, and if your partner did it to you, you would not like it at all, just don't do it. Just don't do it. So have realistic boundaries. Set realistic expectations. Sisters, we're not out here getting on thirsty and just looking for a man to just lavish and spend. And as he meets us, he's supposed to shower us with rubies, diamonds, and pearls, and we have to go to the most expensive restaurants. Let us be real. Everybody cannot afford to do that. Forget what you're seeing in the movies. It's just a movie. We're dealing with real life and real life situations. And I think all of us coming out of that whole COVID situation, everybody is really just doing their best to survive. So let's not get on thirsty and be greedy and expect that he have to carry us to the most expensive restaurant. Because I mean, and I've heard it said before. Sometimes we have these expectations from people, and we can't even fulfill the expectations for ourselves. So you pick up a guy and you find he should take you to the Hyatt for dinner. You ever took yourself to the Hyatt for dinner? You know that kind of way? Come on, man. Let me be a little realistic. Be realistic. Nothing wrong with you having your standard and you're accustomed to taking care of yourself and you're accustomed to the finer things in life. Fine. But some of us, we're not accustomed to certain things and we expect people to give it to us. We don't take time to pamper ourselves. We don't go to no spa. We don't do no mani, no pedi. But you meet a guy and all of a sudden your taste change. You only want champagne. You never buy champagne for yourself in your life. Let's not do that. If we're really looking to be serious about life, if we're looking to date with the expectation of being married, let's just do the right thing and really sit down and think. I know sometimes it's get lonely. Being by yourself is be lonely, but find things to entertain yourself. I go to the beach. I like plants. I go and buy plants. I go to my plants. I start training. So that is why I can't do no hairstyle tonight because my arms really hurting. I'm walking like a dinosaur holding my arms up like this because I can't stretch them out. Find things to engage yourself other than just wanting a relationship for wanting a relationship's sake because you're lonely. Because trust me, if you decide today just on the aspect of being lonely, 9 times out of 10 you choose garbage because you just want to be in a relationship. So think about it. It was nice being on with you tonight. Let me just say that doing these lives is something real new to me. It's real difficult. I don't know how people do it. Last week I wasn't on. Honestly, I have anxiety before I come on here. Literal anxiety. Most nights, Wednesdays, I don't want to do it. But however, I am pushing through. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for the encouragement. So I took last week off and I actually sat down and planned my topics for the next coming weeks and stuff like that. And I just decided, what color, despite the anxiety, despite however you might be feeling, because it have some days Wednesdays are just not in the mood. But I'm just here for this because I think in talking to you guys is also helping me. It's helping me to grow as a person. It's helping me to look inward and to really check myself because I am by no means perfect. I've made mistakes. I think I've given too freely of myself in the past because I just love love. I'm a person who love love. I just love love. No lie. I am a full-on romantic. And I think I was of the impression that, everybody love love. And everybody want this genuine love. And so I would jump in head first and just do the most. If do the most was a person, it will be me. Because I will start a date and I doing the most. I start woman who I will send a man flowers. I doing the most. Valentine's, I doing the most. If you say I have a need, I doing the most. And I realized I needed to put boundaries in place to protect me. Because not everybody could appreciate that kind of love, that kind of openness, that type of giving. Not everybody could appreciate that. So you need to put things in place to protect yourself. So if the relationship doesn't work, you do not feel like you were taken advantage of. You do not feel like the person just came to take your money, to just use you. If you put things in place to protect yourself. You understand? And for God's sake, do not give anything. For me, and that is something I'm learning. I'm not going to give anything that I'm going to have to regret giving. So even if the relationship doesn't work, I don't have to regret helping out a person when they had need. Even if I help them pay a bill, I don't have to regret it. I'm not going to give anything that I cannot afford to give. Because in the end, I don't want to be hurt. And I think it's something that we all need to look at seriously. So, thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned next week on Hair Talks. I'm going to try to have my arms working properly so I could actually raise them above my head so I could do a hairstyle. Stay tuned. We have so much coming up with Just Curls. As I said, we're going to be doing a relaunch at the end of March. We're going to be coming out with a bang. We're going to be doing a big collaboration as well. So oh my gosh, I can hardly stretch out my hands, guys. So stay tuned, and thank you all so much for dropping by Hair Talks tonight. I appreciate you guys. Bye.